Hello and welcome to Newsfeed, your daily dose of what people are talking about online. A cost of living crisis is impacting pockets worldwide. While inflation has cooled somewhat in many countries, costs are still rising at a much quicker rate than what's considered economically healthy. Salaries aren't increasing in tandem with the rising cost of living, and you know what they say. If your salary hasn't gone up in line with annual inflation, you've taken a pay cut. Costs remain high as the war in Ukraine impacts energy and food prices as countries continue their post-pandemic recovery. And people globally have been quite ingenious with how they've cut costs. So they've come out of the month with a little more cash. One hack in particular is taking Gen Z by storm. Cue cash stuffing, the viral TikTok trend that sees young consumers adopt an age-old technique to budget one's finances. You may have seen the older generation do this, divvying up your cash into different envelopes for, say, your rent, groceries, or a rainy day fund. By doing this, you have a better sense of where your money is going and what's left over. Some Gen Zers say they've managed to pay off their debts using this system as it helps prevent unwanted spending, especially as many younger folk live paycheck to paycheck. The hashtag cash stuffing, which includes how-to tutorials on TikTok, has more than 1.1 billion views.
I just got paid, so let's cash stuff my wallet.
We are going to get ready to stuff all of this money into our sinking funds.
I didn't add anything in here over the last month, so I added a little extra than the usual 25.
Have you seen those viral TikTok videos of Gen Zers putting dollar bills into envelopes? It's called cash stuffing, and it's making cash cool again. The theory is that setting aside physical currency for each category in your budget makes it much less likely that you'll overspend.
There have even been studies showing that spending cash activates the pain centers in our brain in a way that swiping a credit card doesn't. Credit is theoretical. Charging something is mentally easy, but cash is mine, my own, my precious.
There's also kind of an ASMR vibe to many of these videos, which makes sense in a way. From credit cards to crypto, money has been getting more and more imaginary, and it's almost like people are yearning for it to be tangible again. Something they can see, feel, and hear. Of course, paper money is still technically imaginary, but that's a whole other story.
Okay, whether paper money is real or not, it still doesn't change the fact that most of us have real costs that we need to budget. Now, here's how to start.
You want to set up your cash envelopes, which is your day-to-day spending, which if you don't use cash for anything else, I recommend using it for your variable expenses. Get you a little cash wallet and carry that money with you. It really helps you to cut back on overspending. And then you want to evaluate that spending. So you want to look at it and say, okay, well, January I spent $400 on groceries. February I spent $3. March I spent $6. And see what the difference is. Is it inflation? Because obviously groceries are heavily impacting most of our budgets right now. Or were you overspending? The next thing is to go ahead and create yourself some sinking funds. We have cars, they need maintenance. You could have a car maintenance sinking fund so that money's there when it's time for your oil change or rotate your tires. And then you want to contribute to savings. It doesn't necessarily have to be a savings challenge. It can just be an emergency fund. So you want to pay off debt, you want to add some to savings, and whatever is left, throw it in your sinking funds.
Some of Asia's biggest economies are trying to actively counter falling birth rates by spending hundreds of billions of dollars to reverse the trend. Most measures across the region involve fertility programs, tax incentives, and subsidies. But data shows Japan, South Korea, Singapore, and China's attempts to boost their populations have had very little impact. Japan began introducing policies to encourage people to have more children in the 90s. South Korea followed suit in the 2000s, and Singapore has had its own program in place since the late 1980s. China's large population once helped it become an industrial and economic powerhouse. But in 1980, afraid its vast population would actually strain the economy, China rolled out its controversial one-child policy. As the years went by, it became evident that slower population growth was impacting the economy. China did away with its one-child policy in 2015 and introduced policies to encourage people to have bigger families. India recently overtook it as the world's most populous nation. Concerned about the country's first population drop in 6 decades and its aging society, the Chinese government's political advisors recently proposed that unmarried women have access to fertility treatments like egg freezing and IVF treatment to boost the birth rate. But for now, fertility treatments are still out of reach for single women in China, even as attitudes about the traditional family structure shift. Norsena reports on one woman's struggle to change the status quo.
5 years ago, a Beijing hospital refused to freeze Teresa Zhu's eggs. The reason? Because she's a single woman. She then sued the hospital in a landmark case in China of a woman fighting for her reproductive rights.
I know that in a case like this with so much influence, we may not be able to have much of a chance of winning. However, the court case puts the issue in the public's eye. It gives single women the opportunity to discuss their reproductive rights openly.
While China doesn't explicitly ban unmarried people from fertility treatment, the law states that a husband and wife can have up to 3 children. Because of that wording, hospitals require women seeking reproductive treatment to show a marriage license. That's why Teresa is just one of millions of unmarried women in China unable to access fertility treatment. She lost her legal challenge last year, with the court ruling the hospital didn't violate her rights. But her fight is far from over. This month, a court heard Teresa's final appeal.
China's current population and fertility policy is that all couples are allowed to have up to 3 children. In fact, the government has already done away with the one-child policy. So why do we still have these outdated regulations in place today? Is it possible that the time has come to end this policy of restricting single women from freezing their eggs?
Teresa was 30 when she first started her legal battle. Now at age 35, she feels the clock ticking.
There is pressure from society constantly reminding me that women may reach the end of their golden childbearing years at the age of 35. I felt so torn between starting a family and my career as a freelance writer, so I needed to leap into action with this case. Otherwise, my fertility could drop dramatically in the future, and then I may not be able to have a child.
Teresa's lawyer says it may be a while until the court delivers its verdict, given the large volume of material presented in the case. But given the government's push to reverse low birth rates, Teresa is cautiously optimistic, hopeful the verdict will change the lives of millions of single women in China.
Reach for the skies and pursue your dreams, we're often told. Well, 2 Nigerian engineers have literally done just that. They're designing and developing a homemade airplane that's almost ready for takeoff. Take a look.
Our intention is to start manufacturing aircraft in Nigeria.
skeleton in wanga jirgin da pipe ɗin da ake yin canopy da shi, sannan na sa mashi injin da ake yin nika, sannan kuma wannan fuffuke inda na yi shi da kwano ne irin wanda ake yi na gambu nan, sannan kuma propeller nashi na yi shi da katako ne.
We are appealing to Nigerians to help us whichever way they can, because this project we don't want this project to stop here.
All right, on to what's trending. Now, we all know social media is a weird place where anything can go viral or turn into a meme. Remember how an egg broke Kylie Jenner's Instagram record? Well, this time we have a blue couch dividing the net. It all started when TikTok creator Yavav Manda documented her rescue of a blue couch she found on a New York City sidewalk.
Hi guys, this is me finding an $8,000 couch in the middle of the street. But the couch was very dirty, so he said we had to clean it. So we got all the things we needed to clean it. Some soap, water, a vacuum. But as you see, that was me scrubbing my life away to make sure this couch gets as clean as possible. I don't know why she thought that was a good idea, but that's satisfying right there, very satisfying. And then I got tired, so I let them do all the work. Look how dirty it was. This is the after. We had to let it dry. This is my couch that I had before. And then this is the after, the couch in its full glory, looking really nice and fit perfectly in.
Wow, some people were a bit uneasy about it, wondering why on earth someone would toss out such an expensive piece of furniture. And what if it was infested with bed bugs or some other horrifying grossness? But then again, there were others who speculated that maybe it belonged to some rich person who thought nothing of getting rid of perfectly good stuff. The price tag on the couch didn't help either settle the debate. Some claimed it was just a knockoff from AliExpress costing around $600, while others insisted it was worth a whopping $8,000. Regardless of its actual value, the couch has quickly become a viral sensation. It's everywhere, turning into the ultimate meme of the moment. All right, so there's that one burning question that sets our minds racing. What if? What if humans never landed on the moon? What if Germany had won World War II? And what if the Mayans never disappeared? Well, now, thanks to a viral TikTok trend, we can explore these parallel universes without actually having to live them. How, you may ask? With AI image generators, of course. Since the launch of AI tools like Midjourney and DALL-E, a new trend is taking social media by storm every week. This time, the creators are narrating history that never happened. The account, What If AI, for one, plays into decolonial curiosity with prompts like, what if Mexico invaded the US? And what if Somalia conquered Europe? The comments section of What If AI is overflowing with followers asking for their country's turn in the AI time machine. Your imagination is the limit. But hold on, as some have pointed out, the majority of these videos don't actually imagine a future without colonial rule. Instead, they swap the roles of colonized and colonizer. I guess we're unable to imagine ourselves outside the course of histories we've already lived through. Now let's dive into the story of an oldie but roadie. Meet 93-year-old Grandma Joy, who just wrapped up an epic tour of all 63 U.S. national parks with the help of her grandson, Brad.
After 7.5 years, our dream is finally coming true. We're on our way.
It all started back in 2015 when Brad Ryan told Granny Joy about a hiking trip he'd been on. Now picture this, Joy comes from a tiny town in Ohio where she's lived for 67 years, never laying eyes on mountain ranges or even the ocean. That is until Brad planted a seed of wanderlust in her heart. Together they forged a pact to conquer every single one of America's national parks.
Oh my goodness. It's amazing what you see out there. Give you a whole different outlook on your life, I'll tell you that.
I never thought I'd be up there walking around on top of a mountain, for heaven's sake.
Over the last 7 years, my grandma Joy and I have traveled over 50,000 miles, going to all 63 U.S. national parks. And she has done all of this from 85 to 92.
How are the waters today, Grandma Joy?
We've been whitewater rafting.
Good gravy. What a trip.
We've really been able to see every wild animal imaginable, from humpback whales to brown bears.
Once you get out in these beautiful parks, your aches and pains just go away. You forget all about them.
Of all the people that I could have randomly had as a grandmother, that I ended up with somebody who was so fearless and full of life and optimism. I really did luck out. It's inspiring to a lot of people to see 92 looking like this.
What a heartwarming story. And that's our show. Find us on YouTube and do subscribe to our channel. See you soon.